Yo, 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 what up, y'all? All of your followers, and let's get it cracking, all right? So shout out to everybody that's in the room. If you got Colorado all the time, all right? How many people heard of the case of Christian Glass? If you guys have heard about this individual named Christian Glass, give me a thumbs up in the comment section. If you guys have not heard about this individual named Christian Glass, then give me a thumbs down. All right. Christian Glass is an individual that met his demise as a result of the practices of the police in Colorado. All right. I'm gonna get into it. Why is the settlement so high? How come nobody ever heard of it? Shout out to my man Torian. Torian said he never heard that story. See, these are the questions that we got to ask. These are the things that we got to dive into. One reason that people probably haven't heard of it is because the settlement amount was so high. Looks kind of bad, doesn't it? You know what I'm saying? Looks kind of bad. You know what I mean? So now we're gonna look at this. All right. This is a picture of Christian Glass. So I'm sure, as you guys can see, it's obvious why the settlement was a record. Why do you think they decided to compare this to Tyree Nichols? You know what I'm saying? Christian Glass's artwork will be displayed throughout the state in government buildings as part of the settlement agreement. All right. So that's part of the settlement agreement. His legacy of art will live on, as all of his artwork will be posted throughout the state. What do you guys think about this so far? This is pretty interesting for something that nobody's heard about, isn't it? Lot going on here. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what the next picture says. The next picture doesn't say anything. So let's get into the article. Parents of a man who were shot and killed by a Clear Creek sheriff deputy in 2022 will receive a $19 million settlement, the largest known settlement in Colorado history. What warranted such a large settlement is my question for everybody that's watching, that I would like everybody to give their, thoughts about. What warranted that? Let me ask you guys a question. Is this woke? See, we got to ask all of these questions. I mean, aren't the Colorado taxpayers sitting up there saying, well, we didn't do this to him? No. As a matter of fact, not too many people are saying anything about this. Not too many people are saying anything about this. Now, here's the question. Why? I mean, if you ask me, this is pretty damn newsworthy. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we got 21 people watching on YouTube. Shout out to everybody that's watching on YouTube. And we got 10 likes. If everybody can help me out, smash that like button. Get those likes up as close to 21 as you guys possibly can. And we got 9 people watching over on Rumble. Shout out to the 9 people on Rumble. If you guys can hit that like button and get that like up to about 11, that would be great. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody. Appreciate everybody watching. My man Terrence says, I think he was a thug. I don't see why one wouldn't assume that. I mean, clearly there was issues with the police, right? Clearly there was an issue with the police, right? In November of 2021, the city of Aurora agreed to pay the family of Elijah McClain $15 million, which is interesting. Because when it comes to the city of Aurora and Elijah McClain met his demise at the hands of 2 entities, the EMTs as well as the police officers. I don't think there was any EMTs involved here. Shout out to my man Torian. Torian says, look at who the victim is. Had he been black, they would have blown this out of proportion and gave him the Jordan Neely treatment. Facts. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I agree with that 110%. You know what I'm saying? I agree with that 110%. So my question is, what kind of treatment should we give this case? Because if somebody like Jordan Neely or somebody like Elijah McClain is going to get treated the way that they're treated, well, how do you reciprocate that? See, that's the question. How do you reciprocate that? Shout out to my man Grover Reese. What's good with it, bro? Yo, you guys' stream was lit last night. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to THPP Network. So now I want you guys to pay attention. Elijah McClain, 15 million. This individual right here, Christian Glass, he has the highest known settlement for police violence in Colorado. Now the question, why? You heard what his parents said. I've never really heard, people kind of do that, what his parents did, but they did. The 22-year-old died after being stopped by police, manhandled, and drugged with ketamine to subdue him. We're talking about Elijah McClain. Okay? At the time, it was Colorado's largest known settlement. All right? The Glass family agreement was signed last week and made public Tuesday at 1 minute after midnight. The Glass case has attracted national attention because of possible police misconduct and partly because the intense interaction and violent end was caught on body-worn cameras. The criminal case against former Clear Creek Sheriff deputies Kyle Gould and Andrew Bowen is moving towards trial. All right. So these officers here, Kyle Gould and Andrew Bowen, the case has not gone anywhere yet. It's supposed to go to trial. You know what I'm saying? And my man Torian, shout out to Torian, says the fact that none of us knew about this shows we are giving the treatment that it deserves. Very little attention. Let them deal with it. Right. Now, here's the thing, though. This is how they dealt with it. They gave him more of a settlement. They gave his family more of a settlement than they gave Elijah McClain's family. And my thing is, okay, I'm listening. You know what I'm saying? I see it. I'm curious as to the justification. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with asking questions. Do you guys? If you guys think that there's anything wrong with asking questions, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that there's anything wrong with asking questions, give me a thumbs down. I'm just curious as to the justification for it. You know what I'm saying? Bowen faces several charges, including second-degree murder, reckless endangerment, and official misconduct in the shooting death of Glass on June 11th of 2022. Gould, who was making decisions to his direct officer that night from his home, faces charges of criminally negligent homicide and reckless endangerment. So this guy here, Gould, who was making decisions to direct his officers that night from home, is facing charges of criminally negligent homicide and reckless endangerment from his home. Have you guys ever heard of that? Have you guys ever heard of that? When have the police officers, the sheriff, the chief or somebody like that, when have they ever gotten charged from home? And that's a fact, Grover. That's the question. Why is one life worth more than another? One life worth more than another when it comes to the punishment, and one life worth more than the other when it comes to the dollar amount. What's up with that? I have never, ever heard of anything like this. I'm going to read this again. Gould, who was making decisions to direct his officers that night from his home, faces charges of criminally negligent homicide and reckless endangerment. When has somebody who wasn't there gotten charged? Is that something that you guys have ever seen before? And I gotta agree with Torian. Let's list off all of the people. I need you guys to help Torian out in the comment section. Let's name all of the people that didn't talk about this. Okay, let's name all of them. Greg Foreman, ABL, the Hodge twins, Matt Walsh, Charlie Kirk, probably Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Officer Tatum. As much as these people talk about how come nobody talked about this stuff, I'm the one talking about it here. You know what I'm saying? Why aren't they? If, you know what I'm saying, these lives matter so damn much. Shout out to Lloyd Sky 9. What's good with it? Shout out to Dark Titan and Lana. What's good with y'all? Right? Aren't these worthy questions of asking? You know what I'm saying? I think they are. That night, Christian Glass was driving home alone on the mountain road near Silver Plume when his car got stuck. So I think people might have actually seen this. I think this is the guy who the police, he was like stuck and he called the police for help. And I guess they were saying that he had a mental health breakdown and they shot him through the car. You guys remember that now? Does that sound familiar? I think the body cam footage for this is actually available. So that's this case. But even still, even it being this case, it's still not really talked about a lot. Now, here's my question. Do you think that this isn't talked about a lot to kind of encourage us to shut up about the issues that we have? Because they don't care. Like Torian said, they don't care. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised if they would do something like that, attempt to leverage this and have people not saying too much about it. Just simply to try to get you to shut up. Get you to shut up about what's going on. Don't talk about your issues, and you can't compare your issues to ours. Just shut up about it. So, hey, Mr. Knickerbocker says, oh, man, watching the police body cam now. Christian had a knife, y'all. Uh-oh. Shout out to my man, Carlton Way. Uh-oh, Richard. Shout out to my man, Nasty Dealer. What's good with it, bro? Uh-oh, Richard. Hey, Mr. Knickerbocker says they kept asking him to drop the knife, and yeah, he looked stuck. He was out there for an hour. Now, if that was something that we were involved in, oh, man. We already know what all they'd say. What would they say? Resisting, unruly, violent, thug. You know what I'm saying? Uh-oh, Richard. We got problems. They're not really talking about this in the same way that they would talk about other things. You know what I'm saying? He called 911 and talked to the operator for nearly half an hour. By the time law enforcement responded, the 22-year-old told officers that he was terrified. After 70 minutes of negotiation, he was tased by Bowen, the video showed. Glass then brandished a small knife, appeared to stab himself, and according to the body cam video, was allegedly shot by Bowen and died at the scene. All right. So now that we're getting a little bit of a visual picture about this, now that we're starting to get a little bit of an understanding based on what's being said here in this article, what do you guys think? If I'm not mistaken, Elijah McClain didn't brandish a knife. I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Did Elijah McClain brandish any weapon? If Elijah McClain brandished a weapon, give me a thumbs up. If he did not, give me a thumbs down. I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. So now, hey, Mr. Knickerbocker says the whole video is on KKTV. All right. Torian says his weapon was his melanated skin. Clearly. Yeah, I got to agree. Torian says this was borderline Operation Protect the White Boy. Now, I find it very interesting that when it comes to reporting this and talking about this, they really don't put a lot of focus on the fact that he brandished a knife at the police. And another thing that you really don't see is you really don't see a lot of news outlets going all in on this. Here's my question, y'all. Well, why not? Shout out to Mr. Knock. What's good with it, bro? Why is that? Along with the monetary settlement were a multiple police reform initiative. All right. So they want to do police reform again. Like every time this happens, we need to do more police reform, which more police reform leads to this happening again and again and again and again. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Torian Rain. Torian says, Blacklight Revelations, you are legit the first and only person I've seen speak on this. And this happened last year. Yeah, this is old. This is old. You know what I'm saying? And facts. Shout out to my man KOK Fit. They ain't made nothing happen with it yet. And look how fast they were with this settlement and how high the amount was. My question is, what justifies this being the highest settlement in state history? What justifies it? Nobody's saying that he shouldn't get a settlement. Nobody's saying that his family shouldn't get a settlement. My question is, what justifies it being the highest? I think that that's a normal question to ask. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking that question. Would you guys agree? I mean, that's a very justifiable question to ask. And I think that the answer should be very simple for them to provide. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Minnesota level. Facts. Facts. So look how easy that the money is coming. You know what I'm saying? Tuesday morning, Glass's parents, Simon and Sally Glass, will attend a ceremony by Governor Polis as he presents some of their son's artwork. It will be hung at various government buildings. The money will be distributed to the Glass family and their attorneys, Rathod and Mohambidi, LLC, who also represented McClain's mother, Shanine, in her lawsuit. So McClain's family had the exact same set of lawyers, and those lawyers ended up getting $4 million less for Elijah McClain than what they got for this individual. What's the message in all of this? Facts. Real question. Who is the white community equivalent of Al Sharpton? Big facts. That's a great question. Anybody got any answers for that? That's an excellent question. You know what I'm saying? In addition to the settlement, the town of Idaho Springs will dedicate a public park named to Glass. In an apology letter, Clear County Sheriff Rick Elbers acknowledged that his officers failed to meet expectations in their response to Christian Glass when he called for assistance. Now, let me ask you guys a question. I don't know for sure, which is why I'm asking this as a question, but I don't recall things like this being done when it comes to the settlements of things that happen with us. Now, you know, they did all the George Floyd statues and they overblew all of the stuff with George Floyd and stuff like that. But what about anything else? What about when it's not politicized? What about when that particular dim folks community don't have an investment in it? What happens when it's just an issue that somebody has to deal with, like for Philando Castile or something like that? What do you guys think? The Carlton Way makes a great point. The wealth gap exists even in death. I guarantee you, if we got one of those payout tables from a life insurance company, the life insurance company will have a racial component that gives a indeterminate value of a black life being worth significantly less than a white one at the same age. And they'll have a bunch of factors that they're using to justify those prices. The premiums is what it will be called. Now, the interesting thing is, if that's the case, then what's the standard penalty amount for punitive damages that gets charged to the police department when these kinds of things take place? See, that's the question. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a good question to ask. I think that all these questions are good questions that we definitely need to make sure that we're asking. You know what I'm saying? But whether we'll get an answer or not, if we can't force the answer, I guarantee you at best we'll only be able to assume. Sadly. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment, smash that like button. If you guys haven't hit the bell and subscribe to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe wherever you're watching at. Share the stream out. All right. Also, make sure that you guys subscribe to my backup channels. All right. So now here it says in the document, the sheriff outlined a plan to assemble a countywide crisis response team to be implemented by the beginning of 2025, improve training, and announced a citizens policy advisory board. In accordance with the agreement, the state of Colorado will also implement changes in training, including a virtual reality system named after Glass. Now, my question is, after every time something like this happens, there's always all of this alleged change. But my thing is that this stuff still happens. So the question that I have for you guys, for everybody that's watching, is what's actually changing? Is anything changing? Or does this stuff just sound good? Because if you ask me, when it comes to this stuff, it just sounds good. We would know that it's working effectively. We would know that it's significantly changing things if we didn't continue to hear about issues like this happening. But for whatever reason, we keep hearing about issues like this happening. I got to agree with Torian. Torian says this is all script talk, meaning they have to put this out because it is what they are supposed to do to make it seem like they care when they don't. I agree 110%. And that's one of the reasons why I always cover this kind of stuff so that people can see the similarities. Man, they're working off of a template. If you guys agree with Torian, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Faith and Lighten. What's good with it, Faith? So now here it says the family thanked 5th Judicial District Attorney Heidi McCollum in the press release for her diligent prosecution of officers Andrew Buen and Kyle Gould, two of the murderers of Christian. The court in the criminal case has found that malicious intent can be inferred from the aggressive demeanor and ultimate action of the defendant shooting Mr. Glass seen in the body cam footage. Now that's interesting because what's interesting about this is that in this particular situation, I feared for my life. It doesn't even matter. Nobody's even talking about I feared for my life. Yeah. You guys notice that? What Terrence said? They even called them murderers. So what this shows is that when it comes to dealing with a particular segment of the population, there's a very different value system. Now, we all know that that's not an accident. That's on purpose. That's the way that the system is supposed to work. The system is supposed to work in a way where it constantly reminds you that you are not getting justice. So my question to everybody is, knowing that is the reality, knowing that that is the situation that we deal with, what are we going to do to deal with it? Let me ask you guys a question. Does it make sense to ask the people that get an advantage in this particular situation? Does it make sense to ask them to give up their advantage? It doesn't make any sense. It makes sense for us to establish our own advantage. The people that have set up a rigged system for themselves to have an advantage have done that for a particular reason. And the particular reason is for what we're talking about right now. So when people see this kind of thing, people need to not be surprised. People need to understand this is what's up. This is what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Torian said, Blacklight Revelations just say PC. We embrace villainy over here. Facts. That's the only way. Let me ask you guys a question. If we compare Elijah McClain to that case that I just read, what does that show? What does that imply? So now, do we dare these people call us woke if we speak about the obvious? Because you know you're not supposed to say anything about it, because if you say the wrong thing, you might make somebody upset. And if you make somebody upset, well, then by golly, they might call you woke. You know what I'm saying? They might call you woke. Oh, absolutely. Torian says, even in death, white privilege still works in their favor. Facts. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. You know what I'm saying? So now, what we have going on with Elijah McClain, and as you guys can see, this article here is from May 26th of 2023. Attorneys request trial delay for 2 Aurora officers charged in Elijah McClain's death. Now, here's my question. Why would they need a trial delay? Shout out to Iron Will. What's good with it, bro? Why would they need a trial delay? Is there any necessary reason? I mean, it's already been quite a while since this thing has even been looked at. So why would they need a trial delay? Who knows, right? But that's what they're asking for. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're asking for. Now, here's the question. You guys think they'll get it? Attorneys for 2 Aurora police officers facing homicide charges for the death of Elijah McClain want their July trial pushed back, saying they need more time to review the volume of evidence produced. How much more time do they need? Is that reasonable? How much more time do they need? You know what I mean? And lawyers for one officer have asked the judge to take another look at their request to require prosecutors to lay out the specific actions they allege led to McClain's injuries and make up the criminal charges known as a bill of particulars. Prosecutors from the Colorado Attorney General's office and defense attorneys tussled over the request in a hearing Friday in the Adams County District Court. Lawyers for the 2 officers, Randy Rodema and Jason Rosenblatt, say they need more time to review the mounting trove of evidence gathered by prosecutors, while prosecutors slammed the defense attorneys with an accusation of continuously using that as a reason to delay the case several times. McClain, a 23-year-old black man, died in a hospital in August of 2019, days after 3 police officers forcibly restrained him and put him in a controlled neck hold, and paramedics called to the scene injected him with the sedative ketamine, right? Now, what I want you guys to understand is that this kind of thing will always be justified by the population at large, because the population at large thinks that we're here for target practice. Now, here's my question. How do you deal with people who think that you're here for their target practice? Because you're not. But you leave it up to them. That's what they'll say and do. So how do you defend yourself from animals is the question. That's the question. Because there's no evidence of him resisting. There's no evidence of a need for him to be injected with ketamine. So now how do you survive or perpetuate your own life in a world where everyone wants to use you as target practice? That's the question. How do you do it? Do you forgive? Do you make inroads? Do you invite the people that deleted your loved one to your funeral? How do you do it? Because a lot of those things are the things that people have been done over a period of time. Let me ask you guys a question. Has it worked? I got to agree with Torian. Become the hunter. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Officers responded to a call reporting a person acting suspiciously as McClain walked home from a convenience store after buying an iced tea. So now we can't use the Trayvon Martin mail-splaining. He bought the iced tea, but he was not suspected of any crime. So what was the suspicious action that he was doing? He wore a ski mask to keep warm because of anemia, according to relatives. So he purchased his iced tea. He wasn't suspected of any crime, but allegedly someone called and said that he was acting suspiciously. So was it suspicious that these people are so racist that they thought that something was wrong because he actually purchased the product that he had? Is that what we're dealing with? Where when you do things right, people are looking at you like you're crazy and still calling the police on you because they're so racist, they don't assume that you can do anything right? That's what we're up against. Oh my goodness. It's suspicious that he paid. Better call the cops. No, 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 no. Let me ask you guys a question. How many people are down to lose a son or a daughter like that? You guys want to bury your kid as a result of that? You guys got Gerber life insurance policies out there? How many of you guys want to see your kid in a 4chan chat being made fun of because they're dead? Anybody think that would make your day? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? A statewide grand jury convened by Attorney General Phil Weiser indicted the two paramedics and three officers in late 2021. Peter Chickhonik, Jeremy Cooper, Nathan Woodyard, Rodemia, and Roseblatt. The five faced 32 counts altogether, including criminally negligent homicide, manslaughter, and second-degree assault, causing serious charges. Cooper and Chickhonik also face a count of second-degree assault with a deadly weapon, ketamine, and unlawfully administering the sedative without consent. But remember, they didn't do anything wrong because they never do anything wrong ever. And if you talk about it, you're just woke. Somebody killed your kid, you expect any kind of retribution. It's found that there's no evidence of a reason for them to do it. Well, if you happen to be the wrong skin color, you're woke. If you happen to be the right skin color, then you'll get the highest settlement in state history. What do you do in situations like that? Because what I'm telling you guys is that these people aren't going to do anything for you. And I'll just show case after case after case after case. So now the question is, what do you do with people that do things like that? Where should they go? How should they be dealt with? How should you proceed to deal with this kind of nonsense? Adams County District Court Judge Priscilla Lowe ruled last July that the grand jury had found probable cause for the indictments. All 5 have pleaded not guilty. Judge Mark Warner, who has taken over the case, ordered 3 separate trials. Rosenblatt and Rodema are currently scheduled to go to trial together starting July 11th. In Friday's hearing on a cornucopia of motions, Senior Assistant Attorney General Jason Slothauer said prosecutors bear the risk of delays at the start of the trial because they increase the chances of the witnesses moving away, dying, or their memories fading. He said the defense attorneys were previously granted several month-long continuances, scheduled court dates, because they said they need more time to review the evidence, and accused them of using it as a tactic to serve their own interests by delaying the trial as long as possible. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think that that's what the defense is doing? If you guys think that that's what they're doing, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys do not think that that's what they're doing, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Lala Papa. What's good with it? B1. What do you guys think? You know, these arguments that we can't possibly be ready for trial because they're simply too much isn't right, Slothauer said. So now the arguments that the defense attorneys are using is that there's just too much evidence, that they can't handle it, and that they need more time to go over it. How much time do they need? How long is the limit of time that they have to be able to look at the evidence that's available, right? But questioning this because there's a death involved and these people should just be allowed to pick you off as they please, well, that's woke, because your life isn't anything except for entertainment and watching you die for the rest of the United States. You know what I'm saying? So here's my question. Anytime looking at anything, should the expectation be that anything will ever be fair? If you ask me, that should never be the expectation, ever. And the only expectation should be how you can manipulate whatever it is that you need to manipulate in order to get whatever kind of advantage you need to get your objective accomplished, period. Because if these people operate and live in a system that constantly gives them an unfair advantage against you, the only way that you will ever survive is by unapologetically cheating. But you're technically not cheating if the system is rigged to cheat against you. So you cannot have any kind of value system living in this situation. The only value system that you can have living in this situation is self-determination and self-preservation. That's it. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Show examples of it time and time and time again. And then what happens is they want to play this silly game of acting as if they want to be friends or acting as if there's some kind of way that things are going to change. Nothing's ever going to change unless you decide to change it. And the way that it's going to change is when people decide to take their fate into their own hands. Once you start taking your fate into your own hands and you supersede the devices of the nonsense that we live in, you will really start to see people think that Ron DeSantis is upset and all of this. You're really going to start seeing people get upset. And that's the need. That's when you're really going to need to have that training on those power tools. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Torian Rain. Torian says, ask him about reparations. It's the new litmus test. I agree. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to my man Reese Sanders. What's good with it, bro? So now here it says, but defense lawyers countered during the hearing that prosecutors have prevented them from developing effective defense by not clearly articulating how they believe the officer's alleged actions contributed to Elijah McClain's injuries or deaths. I find that very hard to believe because, I mean, the police report and the coroner report should speak for themselves, and that probably would form the basis of the accusations, right? I mean, isn't that just common sense? You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, arguing for Warner to reconsider a request by Rodemia's lawyer for a bill of particulars. Elkis and Sisson partner Donald Sisson said the indictment is too vague for the defense to understand the theory prosecutors plan to present at trial. So what they're basically doing is they're using legal jargon and they're using legal tactics to play dumb, which I'm sure they're not playing. They probably are dumb, but what they're doing with their legal technique and their legal jargon is they're playing dumb, and they're trying to play dumb in order to justify stretching out the trial date. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. From what this article is saying, that's what it's looking like they're doing. That's what it looks like their tactic is here. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says a proper indictment explains the who, what, when, where, why, and how of the alleged conduct, he said, later adding, it's not clear. Are they saying there was a bad stop, and because there was a bad stop, any subsequent force is unlawful? Now, really? I want you guys to see how they're. Yeah, I gotta agree with Torian. If you guys agree with Torian, give me those thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. They're absolutely full of it. Honestly, this right here, this is very revealing of the American justice system, and it's also a mockery of the alleged justice system. But what we got to remember is that the justice system is not a justice system at all. And as long as you go into it with that understanding, then it will make sense why loopholes and tactics like this are available. This kind of tactic is specifically available for people like law enforcement to be able to do things like this to further reinforce that there's no way out, to continue to psychologically leave you hopeless. Once people have accepted the reality of the machine that's at work, at that point, then people will start to understand what's necessary to be done to deconstruct the machine. But until then, as long as people live in a false reality and say things like, well, the justice system failed, the justice system is not failing. Everything going on here is going on within the framework of the justice system, which means that it's working. There's no hiccups anywhere. Everything that's done, there's a motion that can be filed. There's a request that can be done. All of this stuff, there's nothing that's falling apart accidentally that's not working properly, where a crew has to come in and examine why things aren't working right. This is how things were set up. This is how they've been working. This is how they will always work until the machine is deconstructed. There's nothing outside of the frames of something that somebody who is a lawyer who would learn how to deal with the law is doing. There's nothing extraordinary about this. Would you guys agree? These people, all of them, including the cops and the EMTs, everyone in this situation have all done what they were trained to do. So how is anything failing? Let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys think that those EMTs were trained in how to administer ketamine? Were they trained in the effects of ketamine? Did they have the understanding that a certain dose of it could be lethal? If they weren't trained and weren't certified and weren't able to have it, use it, and administer it, they wouldn't have had it in their vehicle, right? What about this stalling tactic? If this stalling tactic was a failure, there wouldn't be a name for it. There wouldn't be a procedure in order to get it going, right? So everything being done is a known tactic of things to do, which means that the justice system is absolutely not failing. It actually means the exact opposite. The justice system is working exactly the way that it was designed. Now, here's the actual question. What was the justice system designed for? Was the justice system designed to provide justice to you? Or was the justice system designed to make you an example of justice? That's the question. The prosecutors pushed back by saying it's up to a jury to decide whether the officer bears responsibility for McClain's death. The indictment accuses Rodema of putting his body weight on McClain to hold him down, despite McClain's pleas that he could not breathe, and of cranking McClain's shoulder in a bar hammer lock, a tactic to hold his arm behind his back. It also claims the struggle with police caused hypoxemia, and metabolic acidosis, low oxygen levels in the blood, and too much acid in the blood. You guys know why that happens, right? Yeah, it should be called the just them system. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree with Torian, give me a thumbs up. It should be called the just them system. And as a matter of fact, if you guys believe as a result of what the evidence shows that it should be called the just them system, if you ask me, we should just start calling it the just them system. You know what I'm saying? Anytime we refer to the alleged justice system, we need to call it the just them system. These things don't get one of the reasons why words are the way that they are is because words kind of mold how you see things. Words really have a big impact on your worldview. So if you say something, you know what I'm saying, there's a possibility that you can tell yourself that something is not actually how it is. So if you continue to tell yourself that this is a justice system, yet you're repeatedly seeing and living through examples that it's not, now you're dealing with an internal conflict. You've tricked yourself, which is partially what you're supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to not be confused. You're not supposed to not be confused. You're supposed to be confused at all times. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says the argument about the indictment's vagueness echoes a filling by attorneys for Woodward, the third police officer, when they requested a probable cause review by Lowe's of the charges against him. They wrote in March of 2022, several medical experts testified to the grand jury that the actions of the police officers did not contribute to McClain's death. Okay. An autopsy report by Dr. Stephen Sina originally characterized McClain's cause and manner of death undetermined. Now, isn't it interesting how these things are always undetermined? When that individual got shot in that car, I mean, we don't know what killed him. You know what I'm saying? He could have been high on meth and had COVID, and his heart might have stopped literally seconds before the bullet hit him. How do we know? The most likely thing is probably that getting shot by the police took him out. But I mean, we could say that. Who has definitive proof that he didn't go into cardiac arrest before that bullet took him out? No one, because he wasn't hooked up to an EKG machine, and we don't have an EKG with the timestamp on it. So we can't say that for certain. But is anybody going to go out on the limb and say that? No, what we're going to do is we're going to go out on the limb and make sure that he gets the highest settlement in Colorado history to reinforce the fact that his worth is worth more than yours. Do something about it. That's the only thing that's done to do. Torian says they need you in that courtroom, Rob. They don't want me in that courtroom because the first person I'm going for is the bailiff. Second person I'm going for is the judge. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, but an amended autopsy report released last year after a group of news organizations sued the Adams County coroner for its disclosure concluded McClain would have most likely survived if not for the administration of ketamine. Now, let me ask you guys a question. We talked about ketamine before. Why would McClain more than likely have survived if not for the administration of the ketamine? Ketamine has specific side effects. Another thing about ketamine is that it's not a universal dose drug. The ketamine has to be given in a specific dose per kilograms of the person that it's administered to. You can't just give 1 ml of ketamine or 2 mLs of ketamine. You have to give it based on the individual's weight. Now, here's the question. Did anybody at the scene of this incident with the police weigh Elijah McClain in order to come up with an appropriate dose of ketamine to administer? No, because there was no scale available. Who weighed him and how? So how would they know an appropriate dose to administer? Now, the side effects of ketamine, if given and causing an overdose, can be things like ventricular tachycardia or arrhythmia. What did Elijah McClain die of? He died of inadequate respirations and he died of arrhythmia while he was in the ICU. So now, while they may be able to get away with saying the holds didn't contribute directly to the death, it's difficult to say that the ketamine administration did not. However, there's still proximate cause, because if it wasn't for the police interaction, the ketamine would have never been administered. And also, if you ask me, since it's also been proven that he wasn't doing anything illegal while walking, the individual that inappropriately called the police on him should also be an accomplice to the crime. Because that's something that people do that they think is funny as well. I'm just going to call the cops on you just to call the cops. Most people, if they're just walking down the street not expecting something and a bunch of cops start coming after them, most people are going to try to preserve their life because they have no idea what the hell's going on. You know what I'm saying? People weaponize the police and they do it and they think that it's funny, and they do it with the understanding that the police is going to react in the way that they react. Now, if somebody calls the police on you for no reason, my question for you guys is, what is the desired response of that individual making that drama for you? What is it that they want? Why are they calling the police on you? They're doing it for a reason. They're not doing it so that you have a good time. They're not doing it so that you have an easy time. You know what I'm saying? Why are they doing it? They're doing it for a particular reason. What's that reason? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, make sure that you guys smash the like button. Shout out to everybody that's watching over on Rumble. We got 12 people watching on Rumble. Make sure you guys hit that join button. Also, make sure that you guys hit that like button. Shout out to everybody that's on YouTube. We got 32 people watching on YouTube, and we have 38 likes. If you guys haven't smashed that like button, please make sure you guys take a moment and smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, make sure you guys hit the bell and subscribe. And I agree, they're trained on it. If you administer a medication, is it a fair assumption that you've been trained on that medication? You have to know the side effects. You have to know the administration routes. You have to know the antidote. There's a lot of different things that you have to know to be able to be qualified to administer a medication, especially not being a healthcare professional. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Cameron over on Rumble. So now here it says it was determined to be too high for his body weight. Look at that. Now, why would it be determined to be too high for his body weight? Because they just drew it up and gave it to him. You can't do that with ketamine. With ketamine, you got to know the person's weight. in order to determine a dose, which means that if they didn't know his weight, they shouldn't have administered the drug because they didn't know his dose. Now, what's the difference between the holds that he was in versus the ketamine? He survived the holds. The ketamine led to his hospitalization. The ketamine administration at an inappropriate dose matches the reasons why he died in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And now the thing that's sad about that is, I mean, like, I don't understand why people are mad about that. Why would you be mad about that? The cops messed up. They did the wrong thing. The reason why they're acting like they're mad about it is because these people legitimately want to see people dead. They want to see people harmed. But now let you talk like that. Oh, they'll be outraged. You have no business talking like that. What's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? However, Senna still found his manner of death undetermined, not a homicide. Now, how is that? How is it not a homicide? Make that make sense. How is it undetermined? There's a lot of events that would not have that he wouldn't have had occur naturally if he was naturally allowed to go through his course of life. All of the events that took place that injured him were all human induced. Would you guys agree with that? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. All things in question that contributed to his demise were all human induced. None of them occurred as a result of nature. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up in the comment section. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. As a result of that, that means that it would be a homicide. But for whatever reason, the medical examiner says not this time. Cena's amended report adds that he saw no evidence that injuries inflicted by the police contributed to death because McClain was conscious, able to speak, and responsive following the neck hold and removal of the officer's body weight from him. Warner did not rule Friday on a request to push back the trial or reconsider the request for a bill of particulars. He instead set a status hearing for the next Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. Cooper Sikunik, the paramedics, are scheduled for an August 7th trial. The trial for Woodward has been set for September 18th. Okay. So now my question is, what do you guys think about that? Not too many people talking about that. I'm going to show you guys something that's interesting. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you have a problem with people doing things like this, which is something that happens literally all the time, this is a cultural thing, then you're woke. Photos show police smiling while reenacting the chokehold that killed Elijah McClain. Now, we shouldn't think anything about this. Well, something's wrong with us for thinking that somebody laughing at themselves just deleting somebody is funny. There's something wrong with us. We're the ones with the problem. Yeah, we are definitely the ones with the problem. It's just that that's not the particular problem that we have. We have a WS problem. Not a problem with what we're seeing and looking at as something wrong. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says photos show police smiling while reenacting chokehold that killed Elijah McClain. We are ashamed, we are sickened, we are angry, interim police chief says. I don't believe that. Do you guys believe that? Are we supposed to believe that just because they say it? If they're sick and they're embarrassed and all of this other nonsense that they claim, why is it that this happens all the time? See, that's the question. If they actually wanted to change things, if they actually didn't like this, we wouldn't see these things happen. They would change it. Wouldn't go on anymore. They'd get it under control and it wouldn't be going down anymore. But because it's a cultural thing, because it's consistent with the culture of the people that are doing it, you're going to see it increase. You guys recall they did this to Kobe Bryant. What's the excuse for doing it to Kobe Bryant? There's no excuse for doing this to anybody. They justified doing this to George Floyd because George Floyd got statues put up that George Floyd wasn't in control of. These people actually think that George Floyd is in control of all of this sensationalism that's been going on with the George Floyd story. They actually think that he's controlling this shit from the grave. This is how whacked out and crazy these people are. You know what I'm saying? No one's controlling anything from the grave. You know what I'm saying? It's actually people like the people who are outraged who are doing all of this stuff. But would they ever tell it? Nah, because they play a seriously sick game of chess that people need to start being aware of. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says police released photos Friday showing 3 officers smiling as they reenacted a chokehold that their colleagues used on Elijah McClain, a black man who died after police stopped him as he walked down the street last summer in a Denver suburb. What I tell you about surviving the suburbs, that's one of the reasons why you don't walk around in the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? When I made that series called Surviving the Suburbs, I named it that for a reason. You're not supposed to survive the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? And this is more evidence of it. You know what I'm saying? Following an internal investigation by the Aurora Police Department, interim police chief Vanessa Wilson fired 3 officers, one of whom received the photos by text and responded, "Ha ha." The officer who was reenacting the chokehold resigned. "We are ashamed, we are sickened, and we are angry." They're so angry that they're doing what? Giving testimonies? Giving up evidence? They're so angry that they're doing what exactly? They're so angry that their prosecution is tying this up in court. That's how angry they are. Doesn't sound to me like they're angry about what the officers did. It sounds to me like they're angry about the fact that people are keeping up on this. That's what it sounds like to me. Would you guys agree with that? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we got 11 people watching over on Rumble. Shout out to the 11 people watching on Rumble. If you guys haven't smashed the like button, make sure you guys smash the like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the follow button, make sure you guys hit the follow button. And shout out to everybody that's watching on YouTube. We got 29 people watching on YouTube. If you guys haven't hit the like button, make sure you guys smash that like button. Also, make sure you guys share the video to your social media. And if you're not subscribed, don't just cloud watch. Make sure you guys hit that bell icon. All right. So now here it says the officers may not have committed a crime, but the photographs are a crime against humanity and decency, she said. So, okay. So now who's getting charged for it? All right. It's such a crime and it's so outraging. We're going to say all this, but nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. And we're contributing to it being held up in court, but we're outraged. Let me ask you guys a question. Is this outrage genuine? If you guys think that this outrage is genuine, go ahead and give me the thumbs up. If you guys don't, give me the thumbs down. McClain's death got new attention following nationwide protests over police brutality and racial injustice. So again, we're going to start police reform, but this got new attention as a result of more police brutality and racial injustice. So let me ask you guys a question. Same question that I always ask when we talk about this. How effective has any of this quote unquote reform been? And I mean, when it comes to reform, what part of reform are we on? What we need to start doing is every time we hear about the word reform, when it comes to one of these situations, we need to start labeling it. This is reform part 1, reform part 2, reform part 3, reform part 4. I guarantee you by the end of the year, we will already be at part 100 of police reform with nothing actually reformed. You know what I'm saying? So again, we know that as a result of all of these failures, that nothing's going to happen. So my question is, what are we going to make happen as a result? Because it's clear that it can't be left up to this to improve itself. It can't be trusted. It cannot be. We can't leave it to its own devices. We got to deal with it. So that's the question. How are we dealing with it? How we dealing with it? That is the only question. You know what I'm saying? That's the only question that makes sense. So now here it says facing increasing pressure. Democratic Governor Jared Polis last week ordered the state attorney general to reopen the case after prosecutors last year declined to charge the 3 white officers who confronted McClain. How many people knew that? He ended up getting a settlement. And in the beginning, they declined to charge the officers like they always do. Which means what? What does that mean? Nobody should be outraged by that. Nobody should be surprised by that. We should all just know what time it is. We know what we got to do. One thing that we got to do is not leave these things up to the justice system that's not there to provide any justice. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to my man Terrence over there on Rumble. We got 98 subs. You know what I'm saying? We got 12 people watching and we got 5 likes. We need to get to 100. So hit that like button. Also, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button over there. Yeah, I got to agree with Lala. Lala says, what does that even mean? A crime against humanity and decency. Why is it against humanity and decency and not against black citizens? Yeah, facts. What's so interesting is, oh, we dare not say anything about race, but you killed somebody, though. You know what I'm saying? We dare not say anything about race because if we say anything about race, that's so bad, but you deleted somebody. You took somebody out. You know what I'm saying? More worried about how we talk about this shit than the fact that you ghosted somebody. You think that's an accident? Or anybody think that that's by design? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, here's my question. What's these commentators, they get upset and they get outraged about the way that these things are talked about, the way that these things are reported. I mean, what is non-factual about what I have said so far? You know what I'm saying? That's the question right there. What is not grounded in fact that I've said? You know what I'm saying? Nothing. Everything is grounded in fact that I've said. I haven't said anything inaccurate or unrealistic or unreal. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't matter because nothing matters. The only thing that matters is what serves the advantage of the people that the system is built for. Shout out to Carla. What's good with it, Carla? Word of the photos emerged soon afterwards. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Who approves of this, right? Because there's a whole segment of the population that says, why do you keep bringing this up? You're just being so sensitive, right? Really? For one, it doesn't have anything to do with emotion. It has nothing to do with sensitivity. It has nothing to do with anything. Let me ask you guys a question. Is this within protocol? Yes or no? If this is within protocol, give me a thumbs up. If this is not inside of protocol, give me a thumbs down. And that's the end of the discussion. Nobody's even discussing anything about emotions. But this is how these people attempt to frame the argument, which is one of the reasons why you cannot allow it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Lloyd Scott 9 over on Rumble. You know what I'm saying? You can't allow that to happen. People got to hold it down. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, word of the photos emerged soon. Aurora police launched an investigation last week after another officer reported the photos were taken near where the 23-year-old was stopped, a site that's now a memorial. So do you guys notice the culture of desecrating graves? If you guys notice that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys do not notice that, give me a thumbs down. There's a pattern behavior within this particular culture of desecrating graves. There's a reason why people do the things that they do. These things aren't done by accident. There is no, oh, we didn't know. Oh, yes, you did. You want to be treated like you know everything, you're going to be hit with the responsibility of that mantle of quote unquote knowing everything. Oh, yeah, you did. You absolutely knew. There was nothing accidental about any of this. You know what I'm saying? They did it with Emmett Till. They did it with Fred Hampton. They did it with George Floyd. They did it with Kobe Bryant. All the time. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys throw double radiation emoji in the chat for Hey Mr. Knickerbocker. I totally forgot to tell Hey Mr. Knickerbocker, thank you for the Cash App that she sent the other day. So make sure you guys throw some double radiation emoji in the chat for Hey Mr. Knickerbocker for the $10 super sticker. Or for the $10 super chat. She says, thank you for your hard work. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for checking out my content. I appreciate you guys. You know what I'm saying? One thing that I appreciate about my subscribers is that most of my regular subscribers, most of all of y'all have been watching the channel for over a year. You know what I'm saying? Most of y'all have been around for over a year. The same people. You know what I'm saying? That's a huge accomplishment, man. You know what I'm saying? My channel may not perform very well. It may not grow very, you know what I'm saying, fast, but I don't have different people in my stream all the time. Literally, I have the same people. That to me means something. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all. So now here it says an unspecified number of the officers were suspended during the investigation and one resigned this week. And remember, this is an old article, right? Those two other articles that we read, those were new. This is an old article. This is just re-upping on this old article from July 3rd of 2020. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because all of the things that went on with Elijah McClain, right? He went through this where these people were desecrating his memorial. These people were making fun of him being put in a chokehold. And as a result, the other guy got more of a settlement. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Did the police do more to the other guy? I don't know. I don't know I don't know if he did or didn't. You know what I'm saying? Because the police did actually shoot that individual. However, this individual was the victim of two departments, as well as his memorial was desecrated. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that the first individual was the victim of two departments and his memorial wasn't desecrated. So my question again is, where did they get the valuation? You know what I'm saying? Where did they get the valuation? I think that is a fair question to ask. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's an absolutely fair question to ask. Hey, Mr. Knickerbocker said they did him the justice of taking him out fast. Elijah got poisoned. Yeah, that's facts. If you guys agree with Hey, Mr. Knickerbocker, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. The fact that 3 on-duty, in-uniform police officers thought that it was appropriate to reenact murder jokingly shows that the department is rotten to the core, said Marie Newman, the McClain family lawyer who saw the photos before they were publicly released. Elijah McClain, mother, Shanine McClain, also saw them. So what I want you guys to understand is that these are the people that are allegedly tasked with allegedly keeping people safe. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you feel more comfortable that people like this have the civic responsibility that police and EMTs have? Does this make you feel safe? Does this make you feel good? If this makes you feel safe and makes you feel good, then give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't make you feel safe, doesn't make you feel good, give me a thumbs down. Doesn't make me feel safe, doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel like there's no difference between criminals that might want to harm me, you know what I'm saying, and law enforcement, except for the fact that they can do it and all the government entities will fund their defense. That's the only difference. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says for her, it was just devastating to see that people were mocking the murder of her son, Newman added. And they love that. They love the devastation. They love the harm. They love the pain that causes of somebody ridiculing your child being deleted. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they do this stuff. They do this all the time. And they attempt to do it to try to break your spirit. And then they turn around and say, well, you're just being sensitive. Now, my question is, what should be done with people that repeatedly do things like that? And they do it for no reason. Should it be reciprocated? I mean, what should be done? I don't think there's any room for talking with people like that. What do you say to somebody like that gets joy out of watching your kid die and then making fun of it? I don't have anything to say about any person like that. There's no words for me for that person. You know what I'm saying? You might have something else, but not no words. You know what I'm saying? You want to call me a thug, you want to call me, a savage, you know what I'm saying? All of that. That literally is exactly what you'll see. That's literally exactly what you'll get. And you should. Because doing something like that to somebody's child and then making fun of it to rub it in, that's savage. You know what I'm saying? And you should get the same energy that you're given. You know what I'm saying? The Aurora Police Association called the Frings a rush to judgment. The Union for Officers said on Facebook that the investigation took 9 days, while a standard internal affair case takes months. So we can ask two questions. The first question is, why did it take so long? And the second question is, why was it so short? We can ask both of those questions. Both questions would be justified. Why did it take so long? And why did this one take so little? I mean, both of those questions is justified in this situation, aren't they? You know what I'm saying? The Aurora Police Association called officers stopped McClain, a massage therapist, after a 911 call on August 24th reported him as suspicious because he was wearing a ski mask and flailing his arms. That's suspicious. That's suspicious. Remember, he was walking through the suburbs. If you ask me, people need to boycott the suburbs, man. I've been saying that. I don't understand why people go to the suburbs. Why do people give the suburbs your business? You know what I'm saying? Why contribute to the overvaluation of America's most least talked about death trap? You know what I'm saying? AKA the suburbs. Why do people do it? You know what I'm saying? That's the question. Police said they had a right to stop him because he was, quote unquote, being suspicious, and he begged them repeatedly to let go of him, according to the body cam video. Police placed him in a chokehold that cuts off blood to the brain, and paramedics administered 500 milligrams of a sedative to calm him down, which we know the sedative is called ketamine. He suffered cardiac arrest, was later declared brain dead, and taken off life support. But we're going to sit here and act like we have no idea what happened. We're going to sit here and we're going to act like we don't know what happened. They know exactly what happened. And they know exactly how the justice system works, which is one of the reasons why they're sitting here acting like they don't know what happened, because they know that there's a large particular group of the population that will spend all of their money to buy bullshit. If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. There is a large part of the population that will do whatever it can to honestly be dishonest, because that's all they know. And it doesn't matter that that's all they know. If that's all they know and that is harming us, well, it's time for there to be consequences about that. You know what I'm saying? Or not. You know what I'm saying? That's always an option too, or not. I would advise against the or not. You know what I'm saying? But or not is an option too. My question is, how long has the or not been working? Because if you ask me, that's the phase that we're in currently, is the or not phase. So how long has that been working? They look at all the joy that they, it's funny as hell. You know what I'm saying? This kid's dead. Funny. It's hilarious. You know what I'm saying? Now, I guarantee you, if it was theirs, they wouldn't be laughing like that. It would be a national outrage, and everybody would need to stop what they're doing and, just sulk and grieve as well. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that has a problem with this is woke. You can't value your life and be accepted by the rest of the United States at this point in American history. If you value your own life and you're black, you're looked at as an enemy of the state. You know what I'm saying? That's the reality of it. Shout out to my man Vampire Greg. Yes, absolutely. Please make sure you guys smash that like button. Get those likes up. So now my question is, this kind of thing has literally been going on since everybody's favorite year, 1776. It's been going on since then. But now there's one group that understands it, and there's one group that just seems to act like they don't. And I'll tell you, them ones that seem to act like they don't, they're the ones on the screen right here. They're the ones that are acting like they understand it. You see? See how happy? See how relaxed? See how laid back? Oh, look what we just did. We ain't got nothing to worry about. We're still sitting here thinking that, you know what I'm saying, this Ponzi scheme of a justice system is going to actually do something. Shout out to my man DeAndre. What's good? We're the only ones that are thinking that. If you're thinking that, here's a clue. You're not thinking at all. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice, smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers. Your boy got to catch up on some content. I'm going to be streaming all night long. So like I said, make sure you're subscribed to all of my channels. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you're subscribed on Rumble. All you got to do is hit that link that's in the live chat. It's pinned. All right. We almost at 100 subscribers. It'd be great if by the end of this stream, we'd be at 100 subscribers. Smash the like button, share the stream. I'll catch y'all in a little bit on the next one. All right. Peace.